from our last class, we talked about MVC, the controllers, the models, the views, and all of that, right? So in this class, okay, then we had Kisayo talk about some other stuff like view bags and the rest of them. I couldn't complete that class because of my internet, but I think basically that's what it talks about. I'm just going to buttress more on that. And we're going to also look at how we can use the models more on this session, right? So before we start, I'm going to run this so that we see where we stopped and then pick it up from there. Okay, so run this. All right, so we have we created a new page where we had an about me and then name and language, and we're able to do this by creating a folder, or let's just start from by creating a controller, and inside of this controller we had an action that has we had an action that has the index page, and then in the view, we created an about folder that has an index page in it, right? And that is how it works. So today, so basically what happened here was we only used the controller and the action and the view. So today we're going to use everything, controller, controller model and view, right? So let's start. So to do that, I'm going to create, or before we do that first, let's just do a quick calculation, right? A quick calculation. So I'm going to create a view inside a folder called calculates, and then the page, so I just say calculate simple interest. So let me just create a page. I call that page simple interest, the CSHTML. Then I'll just copy something, just copy this for now. I'll place it inside of here, right? So just change the title to simple interest. Then calculates the interest of any amount. Let me just put it that way, right? So inside of here, I'm just going to do a form. So this is just normal HTML. So I'm going to do a form. The form should have text, name should be, let me just say amount. Yep, let's leave that. Then another form. Yes, class form control. Let me just put a class of form control. Then type, text, name, yes, or months. Let me put that month, class form control. So this form control is just a bootstrap class that would make the input type look okay. Then I'll just put a button to submit. Type of submits, then ignore the name, right? So this form, we use this form to get amounts and months, right? Then in the controller, we would work on it. But before we do that, let's first of all see the form. So for us to see the form, I need to add a controller that says simple interest and calculates, because that's the folder, calculate controller, and then the action will be simple interest. Let me just zoom this in a bit. Okay, great. So I'll create a controller that says let's create a new file. So it calculates controller.cs. Just copy all of this and bring it here. Right. So just change this to calculate controller. Then this action is no longer index, but simple interest. So just say simple interests. All right. So this is just to show the page, right? I'll show you something else about how to make the calculations shortly, but let's see the page to see what's on the page. One thing you should also know that this action is also a method, right? Remember how we create methods. Public, that's the I think restriction. Yeah, I've forgotten the name now. Public, then you know there are other options of private, internal, all of that. But for controllers, it's mostly public. Then the return type is going to be I action results. Then the name of the method. Then it has to return that I action result of view. So that's just like a method that we use in the controller. So now let me, I need to add this in the tab, but for now I'm just going to reload this. I'll come here directly, I'll just put calculate / simple interest. All right, so we have our inputs and then we have our button. So it's not looking really nice now. So I'm just going to clean it up a bit to look a bit nice. I'll just do that by putting it in a column, in a row, then in a column of 5. Plus 5. Now I'll put all of this inside of it. Okay, so this will make it look a bit better. Then I'll just put a placeholder. Months. Then yeah, I'll just put calculate simple interest. So then I need to put a tag on the nav so that I can just easily go there. So I just put simple interest. Then yeah, I'll put calculate because that's the controller. And the action, I'll put simple interest. Okay, so let me run this again so I'll see what it looks like. We've not done anything on the calculate part. We're just working on the view for now. So let's see how it looks. All right, so it looks better. You can switch between pages and switch to the calculate simple interest page. And it looks a bit better. Okay, so now we can work on the calculate parts. And to work on the calculate part, before I work on the calculate part, let me just put a class here. BTN primary. Then put a class here. MC3. MC3. just ignore all of this. This is just front-end stuff. So except if you want to learn front-end, then you can listen to all of that. But for now, you could just ignore it and just copy and paste it if you want to use it. Okay, now, so to actually calculate, one thing we need to know is on this simple interest method, there is an attribute on top of it that says HTTP gets. Whether you put it there or you don't put it there, it's always there, this HTTP gets. So what that means is that this simple interest method is a get endpoint or a get action or a get method. Now, at this point, I have to introduce you to the 4 HTTP verbs that people call CRUD operations. CRUD operations, I've heard of CRUD operations before.
Yes, yes, sir.
Create, read, update, delete, right? So CRUD operations is short for create, read, update, and delete. So those are like 4 things that you can do on, or you should be able to do on any app. You'll be able to create data. You should be able to read data. Like creating data means creating data on the website. Like, okay, if you go on, let's say, Facebook.com now, or Twitter.com or whatever, and you make a post, or let's say LinkedIn. If you go to LinkedIn and you make a post, you're creating data on that website. Now, if you, even Slack, since we all use Slack, if you create a post on, or write a message on Slack, you're creating data on it. So whoever is writing the backend would have to create a method that would create that data and store it probably in a database or in a memory somewhere. Now, for me who is reading it, or someone else who is reading it, there should be a capability to read it. So whatever is in the memory or in the database should be able to be presented on the screen. That's read. Update is if I now hold on to that message and I click edit and I update something, you should be able to edit it and update that message. That's update. Delete is if I hold on to that message and the option comes up and I click delete, I should be able to delete it so that it's no longer in that memory. So in such a situation, that's where you have these CRUD operations. Now, this simple interest is just get. It's just a get endpoint. So that means I can only get what is inside of that method. I cannot post to that method. So, but now I want to do a calculation. So that means I need to post to that method, which is create. Creating does not really mean you have to put it in a memory. It could just be filtering. It could just be some other stuff that does not have to do with database or memory, but it means that you have to post to that memory, or you have to post to that endpoint. And that's what we want to do next. So we have to do a method that says HTTP post, then public I action results, simple interest. Now it's giving this error that says simple interest is already defined, already defines a member called simple interest with same parameter. Now, if you remember when we discussed on methods, there's a concept called method overloading. I discussed on it, method overloading, where you can have the same method, 2 methods having the same names, but they are working because they have different parameters. Now, in such a situation, so what that means is I have to bring string of amount in and string of months in. And where is this string of amount and string of months coming from? They are coming from the form amount and months, right? So it's still giving the error because I've not returned anything. Return view. And this should work. So basically, what this is saying is, if I click on this submit button, it should hit this endpoints. It should hit this action, this simple interest action, which is the post action, not the get end action. So now another thing I need to do to make sure that it does that is I need to decorate this form attribute with ASP action and ASP controller. Then finally the method. So the method is a post method. The action is calculate. The controller is calculate. The action is simple interest. Great. So we have this. Now, to make sure that this is actually working, what I want to do is I want to use something that Fisayo talked about, view bag. I don't know if he talked about it, view bags. So I want to use view bags to return the message to the screen. So I'll do view bag dot amount is equal to amount. Then view bag dot month is equals to month. At this point, first off, let me point out something. This amount does not have to be amount. I could just say view bag dot a equals amount. It could be anything, right? The same thing with months, could be anything. But then what I'm doing is this amount that is coming from the view or from the page, I'm storing it inside this view bag dot amount. And view bag, well, Sarah must have explained it, I don't know. But view bag is a method in ASP.NET Core that was created by Microsoft so that we can pass information from the controller to the view, right? So one way to pass information from the controller to the view is passing it through this return view. I can just say, I can just pass amount back to the view, right? That's one way. Another way is through view bag. Then there are other options like temp bag or temp data. Yes, there's temp data dot amount equals to amount. So there are different options that you can use to send data to the view, right? So I think that's not how to use temp data. That's why it's showing the error. Item does not contain the definition for amount and no accessible extension. So that's not how to use temp data, but there's temp data, there's there are quite a number of those stuff that we can use, but I use ViewBag more often than I use some of those other stuff. So it's just like I'm storing this amount inside the view bag. So view, right? The view is like this view, and then the bag is like something I'm just putting my information in. So that's like the new idea of the name view bag. But I have to give it a name because I could use as many view bags as possible. I could say view bag amount, view bag dates, view bag month, view bag A, view bag B, as many as possible. But then what differentiates them is the name after the period. Now, so what I want to do is on our page, I want to say, I want to add C# to our HTML. If view bag, so it's okay, so there's view data also, but I'm using view bag. So view bag dot amount is not null. Yeah. So that means if the data in view bag dot amount is not null, then I want to put it in a paragraph, and I will call it at view bag dot amount. So I'm going to say amount because at view bag dot amount. Then I'll do the same thing for VBAC.month. So this is just to show that we've not done any calculation yet, but this is just to show that we can pass information to the controller and then return it back to the view. So let's test this out. Okay, so let me see. Let's test it out. So if I reload this, nothing is showing as amount or month. But if I click on submit, as you can see, it brought back the amount. If I do the same thing for month, if I click on submit, okay, let me see. Maybe I didn't put in months well. Let me see. Okay, it's months, not months. So it's going to be months and months. Okay, so just test it out again. Right, so that's amount. If I click on submit for months, so it's same amount. I'll have to change that to month. So as you can see, I am sending information to the controller and then bringing me back to the view using ViewBar. So this is months. All right, great. So now we've just done that. We sent the information to the controller and brought it back to the view using ViewBar. And then this amount, this name amount, picked the amount from the form, and this name month picked the month from the form, sent it to this controller here, amount and month, then I used it here. Now, let's just do a simple calculation. So simple interest is principal rate time over 100, right? But what I want to do first is I want to check if something is sent in. If string is null or empty for amount. So there's a method in C# called string.isNull or empty, right? So this is almost same as if amount is equal to null or amount but length is 0. That's what this string is null or empty. It says if amount, like if you did not send anything, or if you sent just space bar, right? So like this now, I won't be able to calculate that. Or if you just submit empty something, I won't be able to calculate that. So that's what this check is doing. So if string is null or empty, or string is null or empty month, right? So if you have these two, I want you to return view with the error amount or month must be null, right? Okay, let me not use normal, let me not use normal this thing. This, what I just did there was same as putting an if block. So let me put it inside the if block. I could just put the return view in front of it and it would still work, but let me just use the normal way so that I don't confuse you people. Now, so this is the first thing. I'm checking if it's null or empty, null or empty. So if it's null or empty, I can't calculate anything, so I'll just return this to the view. But if they are both having parameters, so I want to do it bar amounts int. I'll convert it to an integer. So int.parse amount var, almost running out of time. Var months int.parse months. Now var interest is equal to principal rate times 10, right? Principal is the amount gains times rate. So let's just say the rate is 2.1 or 2.4 times time. Let's just say the time is in months. Let's do it as that, right? So I'm just putting this in brackets. Divided by 100, right? So that should work. Okay, so that's our simple interest. So now I want to bring this back to the user. So I'll just use view bag of interest equals interest, right? So that should work. I've done the calculation and everything. So let me now bring this to the front end. So I did put it in a view bag interest. It's not, let's say interest is view bag that's interest. Okay, so let's test this out and see if it will calculate. So I'm going to reload the screen. Just reload the screen. Then 5,600 month, 3 months, and calculate rates, right? So 5,300 months is 3. If our rate is 2.1%, which is what we calculated here, 2.4%, then what you're going to be paying monthly. Okay, well, this is not correct actually. Because if you're paying, okay, the interest, right? Yeah, so it's correct actually. The interest would be 4,003, I think, right? So I don't know, I've forgotten my maths, but I think that's correct. But so at the end of the day, the point is I've been able to use the amounts that we got and the months to calculate our interest, and then I've been able to send all of that to the screen, right? Using just a simple controller and view kind of stuff. Now let me just submit this. So it's giving this error, the view amounts or months must not be null. As you can see, this is the error. Yeah, that's the formula I use, PRT over 100. So apparently I can't say for sure if that's what the stuff is. But okay, so you're saying this, the view amount. Okay, you know what? What I'm going to do is, that's not the best way to return the error. So I'm going to just return view, but then do a view bag of error message, and I'll just say this, store that. Now in the view, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this also. There's definitely a better way to do all of this, but like we all know, I would always start from the most easiest before going to the most complicated. So error, and then I'll just do a class of text danger. Okay, so let's test this out to make sure that everything is working before we now move on to using a model for stuff like this. Okay, so I'm going to reload this. So what I want to test is if nothing was passed in, right? So it says error, amount of months must not be null. If I pass just one, Same thing. If I pass just this one, the same thing, it's not going to calculate unless I pass the both of them, right? So basically that is just how you can do all of that with our controllers and the view. So you can see that the controller is the one doing the controlling, right? Tells you what to show, what not to show, what to calculate, what not to calculate, and all of that. And that's what MVC is all about. Now, I want to do another one, but this time I'm not using string amount, string months, or name. I'm going to be using a model this time. So let me end this call, then I'll create a new one. All you need to do is just join with the same link because we have just 3 minutes left. So I want to start afresh on the new one. So just join with the same link and we'll continue.